Well, hey there, thanks for stopping by. And if you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm Robbie Greer from Rusticated-Art, and this is Fun Times Family Art. Now, before COVID came along and managed to take over the world, I used to have art classes here in my studio. And now some of the students that used to come along were homeschool students. And they'd come along with their mum or their mum and dad, and we'd all sit around and, and draw along. They found that it was good for them to get out of the house, like a little school trip. I've got 2 or 3 subscribers now that use my Fun Times Family Art as a homeschool project. And that's really cool. I like it. I don't have any problem with that whatsoever. So if you want to use my Fun Times Family Art to help you if you're a homeschooler, by all means do so. The only thing I ask is that you subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends. You must know other homeschool families that would love to have a bit, free art lessons. So share it with your family and friends. And I'd really love to see your artwork, which you can either send to me through my Facebook page on Messenger or my email address, which you'll find on my home page under About and also in the description. Now be sure to watch to the end, because I'll be giving you plenty of help and tips and advice throughout the video, and I'll also be giving a shout out to a young man that's got a very bright future ahead of him. So if you've got everything you need ready, remember to pause whenever you feel like it. Take your time. Let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to draw a line, just the ground line, so just across the page, just lightly. Because we're going to be drawing a bush, it's just to get a practice at drawing foliage. Now what I suggest, because it's so easy to get things too big, and it pays just to start pretty small and try and keep things in a contained area. So what I'm going to suggest is that we don't want to go any more than, say, 6 centimeters from the line to there, and that's going to be the top of our little bush. We'll go, let's say 2.5, 5. So we sort of want to contain our little bush within this area. It doesn't matter if you go over a little bit. It's just a guideline to keep you in the picture, sort of, so to speak. You know what I mean? So we're just going to go, and we start at the top, and I'm just going to do. It's not a circle or a ellipse. It's just like make like a little cloud-like shape. And then we're going to do another one like this. And we'll put one out here like that. It's just an outline. A guide. Now, because when you look at a bush or a tree or something, in most cases you'll find that they are little clusters. Like if you look at your fingers and think that those are the branches, then on the branches you've got other branches and you've got leaves and things like that, and they're sort of behind each other, and that's how they are. So when you're looking at here, that's what they sort of are. There's branches in here holding all these up, but you can't see them because of the leaves. So we start with the first one, and we're going to be using just little circular motions, just very lightly. You call them little scribbleisms, just little circles like this. We go over that line, and we just do one at a time, one little area at a time. So if we're getting too far ahead, just pause, and we just go around, just quite tight circular, just not too dark, just lightly. And we'll move on to the next one. Now where we come in here, where they're overlapping, we're going to do the same. We're going to go over. What I mean by that is that's going to be a darker area, because that'll mean this piece here is behind this piece. It just gives it a bit of depth. There we go, just round like that. Very relaxing. I find it very relaxing. And I might just do this middle one now. And I'm using an A5, my A5 visual diary for this. So just keep it nice and small. They're really little exercises, these tutorials. They're not full drawings or anything, just for practice, not for perfection. A bit darker there, we're overlapping. Alright, and then we go down here, just like that. So we just get this all we're just sort of blocking it in, And of course this is a generic bush. It's just something in my head that I'm making up as I'm going, because if you were to draw, you know, a bush or something in your backyard, well then you'd look at the actual how that bush is. But this is how you would go about it. It might be a different shape. There might be a branch coming through here. Alright, so then basically that's our shape. We'll just put a tree trunk or whatever you want to call it there, and just come down just a little bit below that ground line. Now what I like to do is to come out a bit, you know, just because that's what they're like. You know, they're not perfectly symmetrical or anything, bushes and that, are they? You know, you've got branches sticking out, they just go however they want to go. So just to make it a little bit more realistic, I'm just going to, just like this, look, it's little, just coming out a bit like that. It just gives the impression of leaves and what have you. And then over here, tissue here, so I don't smudge too much and get it all over my hands. And then what happens, of course, you end up putting it over everything. One of the things that I notice is that I try to remember to do as well is before I start each drawing, is I like to get my, especially when you're using rulers, and mainly when you're using rulers, but I'll get my wet wipes and clean it all off to start with, because otherwise you find that you do get marks in here and you don't notice it at the time. So it pays to keep everything nice and clean and tidy. Okay, so now we've got our basic outline of our tree, and we've got some leaves and foliage in there. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to use my blue tack just to come in and just take a few little sort of highlights out, just like that. Now what you do also, another thing which I find very helpful is when I'm looking at, especially with graphite paintings, or drawings I mean, not paintings, but graphite, is to sort of squint. What happens when you squint your eyes, it takes away the detail, so you're just seeing the darks and the lights. And that really does help to work out where you're going to put them. And now I'm just going to go in here with my blending brush, just to gently soften all these up. Not too much, we've got all the little outlines that we want. And now I'm going to go in now with my darker pencil, my 4B. Now if you haven't got a 4B, look at getting a set of pencils. You can get 12 pencils, you know, I mean they're not expensive, 6 pencils, different degrees of tone. The B, obviously the B is a darker one, 4B is black. And you get H's which are harder. It's just how they're put together. So anyway, now I'm going to go in here with my 4B, and we're just going to go in just very lightly, because it's quite a dark pencil, and we're just going to put some more little scribbleisms in there, or squiggleisms, but it's just giving the impression of leaves. So you're not actually drawing each individual leaf, you're just giving the impression. So you're not doing as much as what we did to start with, because you've already laid all that down. We're working in layers, so we've got the first layer, then we've gone over and blended it, gone over with our blue tack, we'll put a few highlights in by taking out the graphite, and then we've gone in and blended it, and you see the sort of the effect we're getting here. Now what I'm going to do again is just go back in again, put in a few more highlights. Let's say for example the light source is coming from this way, so obviously this side is going to be lighter than that side, just a little bit. We don't want to go extreme. Okay, and now we're just going to go and just gently go in here. It's going to be a little bit darker in the middle there, and down the bottom there, and just squint, like I said, just squint your eyes, and it'll make a bit more sense. It'll make it easier to where you want to put your darks and that in. And you don't want to do much more than this. This is about pretty close to where we're going to be. Alright, now we're going to leave that for now, and what we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit of background in here, just to make it a bit more interesting. So we're going to put a little rail fence. You know, we've done all this before. You can either use your ruler or just do freehand. It's entirely up to you. Do another one here. And how far have we gone up? We've gone up, well, we'll go 7. Same as usual, about 7. Just roughly. Like that. Like that. Put in some rails. Just come down about 5 mil, I suppose. Just lightly. And there. There. Another one there. That goes behind the tree, don't forget. And about there. Oops, we didn't have to go that far. I don't know why I went there for, but anyway, we'll just take that out. Not paying attention probably. Now, next thing we're going to do is, and we've done this before, so we're just going to go in here, put this in This is a just give the post a bit more, the fence a little bit more realistic. And once again, these don't have to be perfect either. They were just cut on the farm. They weren't bought from the shop or anything like that. So they're never going to be the same. That's what I love about rustic and rural, old rustic things, and the reason, of course, that I call my work rusticated art, because that's the style I love. Alright, now, once again, we're just going to go over this. If you've done it with a ruler, we're just going to go over that ruled line, because we don't want to see, you know, perfectly straight lines, which the ruler produces. So we're just going to go like that. A little bit of a wobble here and there. Same on this side. Alright, and then across there. Oh, I've already done that one. Now, I'll start from here. If you're right-handed, you'll be starting from this side. But me being left-handed, I start from this side and work back. I try to remember to. Quite often I'll start from this side and then I keep smudging everything. So I'm going to use my wooden one, because I want to get this a bit flatter. You know, it just covers the area a lot more quicker. The mechanical pencils are great for doing more detail stuff, because it's got a sharper point. You can only use the point, whereas with the wood ones, at least you can hold them on its side and it just blocks in things a lot quicker. Okay, and then remembering, of course, to make it a little bit darker on the sides, just to give the impression that it's rounded, gives it a bit of depth. That's enough for that one. Then we'll move over here, do the same. A little bit darker in there, and here. See, I've gone a little bit over the edge there. That doesn't matter. We can come back to that. That's actually a little bit dark, that line. It shouldn't be as dark as that. And normally what happens is you've got to make, because you don't want to see lines. There's no lines. There's edges. There's no lines in nature or things like that, because we only have lines because that's how we draw. But really, the edges, we sort of use a line to do it. But just blend things in so the edge is not so, or the line is not so prominent. If you've been following along in my series, you'll sort of be up to date with this. If this is your first one you've watched, I suggest you go back and have a look at them, because I talk about these sort of things in a bit more depth, and I don't want to risk to bore you all by going over this, saying the same things over and over again. Tidy it up as you go. Yeah. Now I'll turn it around. Remember, we're sort of just blocking things in at the moment, and we'll come back and put some detail in. Try and just do in one continuous line. And here. These are a lot of fun. I mean, like last Saturday I was at my sister's place. We were all sitting around and chatting away there, and I said, do you want to have a look at my video on the YouTube? Because they got a smart TV, and I said, oh yeah. So we turned it on, but anyway, there was 5 of us all together there. And we all pulled out got some paper and that, and some pencils, and they just had the real basics. Yeah, and we sat there and went through the whole video. Look, it went for about 30 minutes. But everyone really enjoyed it, and it's surprising just how, like, a couple of them have never drawn before. My niece's husband, Kieran, he hadn't drawn anything before. I was really surprised, and it was a really neat evening, actually. And everyone was happy. We were all laughing away there, and we just had to pause it every now and again. Okay, now we're going to go in, and like I say, you'll see the little bits of in here that are going to create the texture that we're going to use in here. Look, yours won't be the same as this, but they'll still be in there. There'll be something there. And that's what we use. We use that just to create the grain texture. And yeah, no, we had a great night. So I'd encourage you to do that. Just sit there, and if you've got a smart TV, well, you can do it on the computer. But I mean, a smart TV so everyone can see it. You have to make someone in charge of the remote so that they push the pause button. Yeah, I highly recommend it. A new form of home entertainment. Just take that out. Just clean up as we go. Like I say, it just makes it easier. Now I'm just going to have a little blend. See where we've got the textures and that there. Just soften it up. Look. You can go in there and do a bit more if you wanted to, or it's entirely up to you. It's like everything, you know, as much as you want into your drawings or as little as you want. Or you can come back to it later on. It's a little bit darker in there usually. Alright, now we'll move on to the next one. And there's a nice little line going down there, and there's one going down there, another one there. And it's sort of got some lines going like that. A little knot type thing going on there. It's practically doing it for you. You just got to hold the pencil and guide it. That's how easy it is, really. Really it is. Don't stress about it, just enjoy it, you know, and when you stop and look at, wow, did I do that? That's what it's about. I noticed that with the little lesson we had the other night with my sister, you know. People get amazed, especially if you haven't done much drawing before. And of course I want everybody to be able to sit down and draw. It's such a relaxing thing to do. It's a life changer. It certainly changed my life, my attitude, my way of thinking, just from getting into drawing and that. A little bit darker on the bottom. The light source always is coming from the top or from the sides, never from the ground. And just use your imagination. And we're just going to blend that in. Just softly, soften it up. Just to give it a little bit more realism. I'm just going to darken it up around here, so that's going to create a sort of a shadow. Okay, so I like to tilt my work and go with the flow. I find it's easier, you know, like if I try and do that, it's too much of an effort. But if I go like this, it just feels just quite, you know, it just sort of flows. It's a lot more natural. So just going to darken it up a little bit there, and down here. That's the bush, you know, that's the bush and the tree and the bush and the fence, sorry, and you know, you can stop there if you wanted to. We'll just put a bit of ground in here. So you notice with the darker pencils they can be very, very grainy, especially on this type of paper that I'm using. Well, I think it's 110, and it's quite a sort of like a soft sort of a paper. It's not a shiny paper. So I'm just gently, just take all that out. Rub it off, and there you go. That's the basic little bush. Just put a little bit more in here, and that's the beauty. That's what I keep saying to people. You know, you just, when you're having to walk away, don't overdo it, and then come back, and you'll see things again a little bit differently. And you go, oh yes, and then you go in and you do a little bit more. It's building up the layers. It took me a long time to understand that about layers, but that's what they are. They're layers. You're laying down the graphite. If you wanted to, you could put, where that branch is there, we could just take a little bit out like that and put a branch in there. We might have to say, I want one there. So we just, and you just do this very subtly. You don't want to overdo it. So there might be just a main one there and that there. And that would be all you'd do. Just fill that in. And just like that. Just darken this up a bit. And then you just have it like that. Soften that up a bit. You'll find that with graphite, especially if you're using the darker pencils, it can very easily become a bit sort of smudgy. But when it's like that, you just go in with your blue tack or your kneadable eraser, and you just take it out a bit, like that. And then you look at it with your squinty eyes, and that really does help. Okay, well, that'll do us for today. Well, how'd you get on? Now, drawing foliage doesn't have to be difficult. Just remember to squint your eyes, and that way it just blocks out all the detail. You just see the contrast. And it's one of those things that you need to practice. The more you can practice, the more time you can spend practicing, the easier it will become. And take your time. Slow down. Get up. If you're getting frustrated, get up and go for a walk. And believe me, it will get easier. The more you practice, the easier it will become. Now, today's shout out is for a very special young man by the name of Chris Bright. That's his channel there. Now, he's certainly got the right surname because he is a very bright young man. And he's got videos on just about all subjects. He's got gardening videos, arts and crafts, travelling videos, plus cooking and educational videos. He covers the whole lot. Now, I know you're going to enjoy his content, so be sure to stop in and say hi. Tell him Robbie sent you from Fun Times Family Art. Now please, if you like what you see and you feel you're getting some value, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, and please feel free to subscribe. I'd really love to have you on board. And don't forget to send me in your pictures. I love looking at them. I've had quite a few sent in. Okay, so thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.